Okay, so this is the results of one of the tours of the mobile phone in the pedestrian mall. So the testing, this is UTS here, UTS Tower, and there's a pedestrian mall at the TAFE here. And so that's the area that's sort of highlighted. And the pedestrian mall itself is the red bit. So the red squares are sort of coloured in as the part that you can walk through in the pedestrian mall. The actual tracking stations are these squares again, as normal. So you can see we had actually quite a bit of trouble placing them. So we would have liked to have had staggered them on each side of the walkway, like we'll do on George Street, but because of access to power and OH&S issues and all sorts of other issues, we were quite constrained in terms of where we could place these stations. So we've gone with a setting that's really not ideal in terms of localization, and we've got them all, well, mostly in a straight line. So you see PT5, PT2, PT7 and PT6. These 4 tracking stations are almost exactly in a line, and we only have one on the other side here, PT3, down this end. So this means that basically when we're trying to triangulate or localize people, our lateral accuracy will be extremely poor. Longitudinal accuracy will be better because of the spacing's not too bad longitudinally, but we won't really be able to tell whether someone's walking in down this side of the pedestrian mall or over here. So this is the results from first tour, and I started, so basically I just walked around with my mobile in my pocket, and my mobile's a crappy old Chinese knockoff, nothing special, and I started here at PT5, this tracking station, and I walked basically along here to the end, across, and then back down the other side to here, and then back to PT5. And the whole tour takes about 3 minutes or so. I'm going to play you now how well that tour's recreated. So the whole tour takes about 3 minutes, but I'm going to play it in faster than real time. Just before I do that though, the couple of things to note. First is that, excuse me, the whole tour, for the whole 3-minute tour, we only picked up 13 signals. So 13 signals from this phone. So that we've had to try to recreate the location of the person, or basically of me as I walk around, based on very thin data. So that's one of the reasons why it'll be quite noisy and we'll jump around a lot. And the second thing to note is that the signal is quite noisy and we'll jump around a lot. We do recreate the tour roughly, and we can do a better job smoothing out some of this noise. So it looks like I'm staggering, at least the way that we've triangulated. It looks like I was staggering all over the place, all over the mall, like a drunk on ice, but we can smooth that out. So basically we can smooth some of that out and get a much smoother path out. So this is the unsmooth path that I'll show now. We can do a bit better, but it won't be better in terms of the actual accuracy of the triangulation. It will be a more believable sort of walking model, a more believable path. So anyway, like, enough from me, I'll just play the path. So we start down here, and you just want to follow this yellow pin here, and it starts down here at PT5, which is where I did actually start, but I haven't done that, so I haven't set this to start down at PT5. It's actually managed to triangulate correctly for the start of the path, so that it's pleasing that it starts off in the right spot. And that's not something that I've set or anything like that. So it's correctly localized at the starting position. And while it walks, I might just drag the hand along roughly what the true path was, so you can see how much it deviates as we go. Okay, so I'll start. Now you can see it's walking all around the track. I'm moving my hand roughly where the true path was. And you can see there that there's lots of jerking around that we can smooth out, but we do recreate essentially the basic path of the walker, in this case me, with really limited data. So just 13 data points in this case, 13 signals. So that makes me quite hopeful we can do something similar on George Street. So I'll just play that one more time. So a lot of this weird jerking where it jumps suddenly from one spot to another we can get rid of, because we know that people just physically can't move that fast. The pleasing thing really is just that we managed to start down here, start down the bottom right, we move up towards the end, and then we come back down towards the starting point. So for 13 signals that's actually pretty good, I think, and makes me quite hopeful. I haven't run the tests with the other phones that we tested on the day, or the second. Oh, actually, I have run one other one, so let me just load that up. Oh. Okay, so I actually did 2 loops. So this is again with my crappy old phone stuck in my pocket. And again, I started at phone track 5 down here. So you see here that the errors were a bit off in terms of the starting point that we've recovered, but and the walk's the same. So I walk along here to the end, double round, and come back to the starting position. But this walk is only really half a tour, because for some reason after we get to the top, and I get to the top, we don't get any signal on the way back. Just unlucky in terms of what signals are picked up. Maybe there's interference, who knows what reason, but so we only get signals for the first minute and a half of the tour, which basically means up here and round to the end. So as you'll see, that we recreate that path, but we don't get much more than a little way back. So I'll play that. So this is just me at the start, and then I get going. I'm walking along, so it actually does a better job than the last one in terms of the walk. And I'm walking along. And we get up towards the end, and we get our last signal pretty soon. So I get up to the end, and I turn around here and start coming back after I get up to the end. But then we don't get any more signals, so I've stopped the run there because there's actually no more data after that point. So that's the last point we see. We don't see the whole walk on the way back. But you can see there, if anything, that's actually a bit nicer than the last one, at least on the northbound part of the trip. The starting position's worse, but the basic walk looks a lot less noisy. And so, yeah, that's pleasing that we do that well, given the limited data on the northbound leg, but obviously not so pleasing that that we didn't pick up any data to let us track the walker on the way back down south.